Imagine this. You're in the wrong place at the wrong time and you meet someone whose behavior worries you. But you decide to suck it up and deal with the situation until you can get out. Then something really bad happens, like someone dies or something. You leave the situation shaken up only to discover the next day that the person from yesterday had a curse which they've now passed on to you. Good news! You are potentially living in one of like 1,000 horror films that have been made. This formula has been done again and again into the ground, and while yes, sometimes it's done better than others, it's something that many horror fans are tired of seeing. Which means that Parker Finn had his work cut out for him when he decided to make Smile, at least if he wanted to make it at all interesting. So the surprise of Smile is that it actually ends up being a pretty noble effort, even if it does ultimately succumb to its cliches a little too much for my taste. To me, there are two main things that set Smile apart from the absolute horde of movies in this lane. The first thing is right in the title. It's the smile. Creepy smiles aren't the most original thing ever, and there are even contemporary films like Truth or Dare that use a smile as part of a curse. But this movie does it much better than that one, in large part because they don't use CGI, but also because in this case the smile actually represents something. And that brings me to the second thing that sets Smile apart, which is its intense focus on the effects that traumatic experiences have on people. The smile here, at least in part, represents the way that people who are suffering often put on a happy face around other people in order to hide what's really going on. And Smile takes advantage of that in a really effective way. These two are definitely not new ideas for the horror genre. I just covered Oculus a few weeks back, and that deals with pretty similar themes. But the seriousness of the focus in Smile is still commendable. The prominence of these dramatic elements definitely makes me take Smile more seriously than I would a lot of other films in this lane. But despite how many elements there are to like, Smile does still regrettably fall victim to a few too many genre cliches for me to fully love it. The story structure, character decisions, and the way many of the scares play out feel like they could have been ripped straight from any basic 2010s direct-to-streaming flick. And while sure, they are done with more class here, they still feel just a tad too familiar to me. I want to mention the scares especially. There are so many moments in this movie that are so creepy and well set up. My favorite scene is the part where the house alarm goes off and the main girl, Rose, has to call the alarm company to get the problem resolved. It's a brilliantly creepy moment that I won't spoil, and there's a lot of moments like it in the film. But almost every time we get a good creepy scene, the movie ends up punctuating it with either a jump scare or some other kind of cliche. It happens repeatedly, and it's so disappointing because so many of these scenes had so much potential. In short, I feel like Smile has one foot in the A24 lane, while the other is firmly planted in the James Wan playbook. It's not a bad film, but it could have been much better. In my opinion, it's a 6 out of 10.